Snow falls differently in Asia. It doesn't drift down gently the way it does in Europe. Here, it comes down heavy, as if the sky itself is warning you to head home before the cold decides to take something from you. Across Japan, China, and Korea, winter is not a season of celebration. It is a season of caution, a season where nights stretch too long, mountains echo too loudly, and people lower their voices because they believe something else might be listening. In the old villages, families once sat close to dim fires while the wind scraped against wooden walls. They whispered stories of spirits awakened by the cold, beautiful women who lured travelers into the snow, demons who visited homes on New Year's Eve, ghosts born from abandoned children, and shadows that grew stronger as the temperature dropped. These were not bedtime stories. They were warnings, rules for survival in a winter that could kill as easily as any monster. Tonight we follow those warnings through frozen mountains, silent forests, and ancient rituals still practiced in hidden corners of Asia. Before we begin, make sure you're subscribed. These stories are not forgotten. Some of them are still reported every winter. If you're watching this at night, don't worry. Winter spirits only visit those who are alone. Before we meet the creatures of Asia's frozen legends, we need to understand the world that created them. Winter in East Asia was not simply a season, it was a force. Ancient, quiet, and heavy, pressing down on the land like a second sky. Nights grew longer. Breath turned to ice, and the boundary between the living and the unseen thinned with every falling snowflake. In ancient China, Japan, and Korea, winter was believed to belong to yin, darkness, stillness, and silence. The world outside fell quiet, and shadows stretched farther than they should. People stayed close to their fires, because the cold was not the only thing creeping in from the night. As the winter solstice approached, the longest night of the year, yin energy was believed to reach its peak. Families gathered not only for warmth, but for safety. The hearth flame became more than comfort. It was yang, the force of life, the light believed to drive away the unseen. Lanterns were hung outside homes not simply for celebration but as protection. Small glowing shields meant to keep wandering spirits at bay beneath the winter moons. Across rural Japan, villagers spoke of spirits drifting through snow-covered forests. The wind was not just wind. The silence was not just silence, and footsteps outside your door did not always belong to something human. In Korea, old mountains were said to echo with whispers during winter storms. Families closed their windows tightly, believing ghosts followed the cold, moving through empty fields, abandoned houses, and frozen roads descending from the highlands. And in northern China, where winter could last half a year, snowstorms swallowed entire villages. People believed the cold itself carried intention, that certain beings were born from blizzards, hunger, loneliness, and tragedy, and that they walked the land when human life was at its most fragile. Survival shaped belief, and belief shaped monsters. Every winter spirit you are about to meet comes from this world, a world where warmth meant life, darkness meant danger, and every shadow on the snow might be something watching. These are not Christmas creatures. They are not festive, and they are not playful. They are the ghosts, demons, and frozen beings that haunted East Asia long before modern holidays, long before electricity, and long before the world forgot to fear the winter. Tonight, we remember them. High in the mountains of northern Japan, where the snow never melts and the wind cuts like a blade, there are stories whispered among villagers that keep children close to home. They are stories of a woman in white, silent, beautiful, and deadly. She is called Yuki Onna, the Snow Woman. Her skin is pale as fresh snow, almost translucent beneath the winter moon. Her hair is long, black, and flowing, moving even when the air is still. She walks without leaving footprints, and her presence freezes the air around her with every breath. The legend begins on a night of violent snowfall, when a woodcutter and his apprentice became lost in the mountains. The storm showed no mercy, and the cold threatened to claim them both. Through the blizzard, they found a small hut. Inside stood a woman in a white kimono, fluttering though there was no wind. Her eyes glimmered like frost on a frozen river. She spoke no words, yet her gaze alone was enough to make the old man tremble. The apprentice survived, but only because she found him interesting. She spared his life on one condition. He was never to speak of that night. If he did, he would die. The young man swore to keep the secret. Years passed. The apprentice grew older and married a gentle, kind woman. She was beautiful, calm, and strangely familiar. One winter, during a particularly brutal storm. Guilt overcame him, and he told his wife the story of the Snow Woman. She listened quietly and smiled faintly. By morning, she was gone. No trace remained, except faint footprints slowly fading into the drifting snow. Yuki-onna appears only when snow falls deep and the wind howls through the mountains. She hunts on the coldest nights, preying on travelers who wander alone. Some stories say she drains their life force, leaving behind frozen shells. Others claim she kills instantly, turning her victims into statues of ice, standing motionless in the snow forever. Villagers in Tohoku and Hokkaido still warn their children never to look twice at a woman dressed in white, because if you do, she may follow you home. Even today, hikers report sudden waves of cold, the sensation of being watched, or fleeting glimpses of a pale figure disappearing between snow-covered trees. No one knows whether these sightings are truly Yuki-onna or simply the mountains reminding humans that they do not belong there. But one truth remains. Yuki-onna is a spirit born of winter itself. Cold, silent, and relentless. Her legend is a warning that the beauty of snow can conceal lethal danger, and that in Asia's frozen mountains, winter is not just a season, it is a predator. In the snowy villages of Akita Prefecture, the final days of December are never quiet. Children whisper and hide behind walls, while adults lock their doors a little tighter. On the night of New Year's Eve, the Namahage awaken. They are not spirits, and they are not illusions. They are men dressed as demons, but their purpose is the same as any winter predator: to hunt laziness, disobedience, and fear. The Namahage are terrifying to behold. They wear carved wooden masks, with wide hollow eyes, and teeth locked in a permanent snarl. Their straw robes clatter loudly as they move, rattling like chains in the night. When darkness falls, their footsteps echo across the frozen rice fields. Legend says they descend from the mountains and visit every house in the village. If children have been idle, disobedient, or cowardly, the Namahage will seize them, shaking them violently while shouting with booming voices, asking if they have been lazy or misbehaved during the year. Parents do not hide this ritual from their children. It is meant as a warning, a lesson, and a test of courage before the new year begins. In the past, villagers believed these demons were spirits of the mountains, sent to punish the wicked and preserve balance within the household. Even today, the ritual continues, though mostly in ceremonial form. Men still wear the masks and straw, and the fear in children's eyes remains as real as it was centuries ago. Some stories say the Namahage will not harm obedient children. They will leave quietly, their hollow laughter fading into the winter wind. For those who have ignored their duties or disrespected the rules of the home, the visit is terrifying, a reminder that the mountains themselves are watching and judging the living. The Namahage are more than folklore. They are a living memory of winter's authority, the balance between discipline and chaos, and the thin line that separates safety from fear on the longest and coldest nights of the year. In the endless plains and frozen mountains of northern China, winter is harsh and relentless. Blizzards swallow entire villages, and travelers vanish without a trace. It is here, surrounded by endless white, that Zhui Mei is said to roam. She is known as the snow spirit, neither human nor ghost. She is something born from the cold itself, an embodiment of winter's fury. Zhui Mei is believed to appear during the first heavy snowfall. She wears flowing robes of frost and mist, her hair shimmering like frozen rivers, and her eyes glowing faintly like moonlight reflected on ice. She moves silently across the snow, leaving no footprints behind. Yet those who encounter her feel a presence heavier than any storm. Legends tell of wandering herdsmen and lost travelers whose lives were spared only if they showed respect to the winter spirits. Those who mocked the cold, ignored the land, or wandered carelessly were never seen again. Some say they were taken into the swirling clouds of snow, their screams carried away by the wind, until spring returned and the ice finally melted. Families in northern China still tell stories of Zhui Mei to their children, warning them never to walk alone after the first snowfall and never to disrespect the winter, because the snow spirit is always watching. These tales are not meant only to frighten. They are warnings, a cultural memory of how brutal winter can be and how easily it can claim the careless. When the cold is given a face, it becomes something alive, patient, and unforgiving. Some versions of the legend describe Zhui Mei as a vengeful mountain spirit, born from a traveler who froze to death in the snow. Others say she is a guardian who tests human resilience, punishing only arrogance, greed, and neglect. Either way, her presence serves as a reminder that winter in the north is merciless, and that the snow itself can carry death. Shui Mei is more than folklore. She represents a winter that spares no one. The frozen mountains, the blinding snow, and the bitter wind are all part of her powers. And when the wind howls across northern China, those who listen carefully may still hear her footsteps moving softly and relentlessly across the frozen earth. High in the Himalayas, across the frozen mountains of Tibet, Nepal, and Mongolia, winter is merciless. Blizzards sweep across the peaks, swallowing entire villages in white silence. Travelers who stray alone sometimes never return. And among the snow and shadows, there are whispers of a creature that roams the mountains. They call it the Yeti, or the abominable snowman. Tall and human-like, with dark, matted fur, muscular arms reaching nearly to its knees, and massive feet leaving deep impressions in the snow. Its presence is heavy and silent, blending with the shadows of the pine and rock. For centuries, villagers, monks, and explorers have told stories. A lone herdsman sees a dark figure moving between snow-covered cliffs. Enormous footprints appear overnight around yak pens. Expeditioners hear heavy, measured steps echoing through frozen valleys. Sometimes, only a fleeting shadow is glimpsed against the snow. Some legends speak of smaller snow ghosts, believed to be offspring or spirits connected to the mountains. They are rarely seen, yet their presence is unmistakable. A sudden chill, a shadow that moves where no wind blows. A silent warning to those who ignore the mountain's rules. Villagers warn children. Do not wander the mountains alone. Do not mock the cold. Do not disturb the spirits of the peaks. Those who do may encounter the Yeti itself, or its snow ghosts following behind, patient, unseen, unyielding. They are not said to hunt for blood, but they punish arrogance, carelessness, and disrespect. A traveler lost to the storm may feel eyes upon them, hear heavy steps in the snow behind them, and find themselves guided or warned by the most ancient guardians of the mountains. Even today, trekkers report eerie experiences. A dark, human-shaped figure glimpsed among the peaks, strange, rhythmic footfalls echoing across frozen valleys, and a cold that feels alive, pressing down from the high ridges. The Yeti and its spectral companions are more than legend. They are reminders that winter in the mountains is alive, and that even the largest shadow or smallest footprint may belong to a creature older than the villages themselves. Winter is watching. In the mountains and empty fields of Korea, winter nights stretch endlessly. The wind carries more than snow. It carries whispers, distant moans, and the footsteps of those long gone. These are the Gwisin, restless spirits trapped between worlds, emerging only when the cold is sharpest and the nights are longest. Unlike many other ghosts, Gwisin are not tied to a single moment or tragedy. Some are scholars who died alone in isolation, their bodies left unburied in the frost. Others are villagers who vanished during winter storms, their families never finding a trace. Some are believed to be spirits of the wronged, returning to seek vengeance against the living. During winter, Gwisin roam the mountains and villages. Their pale faces are barely visible against the snow. They glide silently, leaving no footprints behind, their long black hair swaying like shadows in the moonlight. And those who encounter them feel an unbearable chill, along with a crushing sense of loneliness that seems to pierce straight through the heart. Stories speak of children and travelers who ignored warnings to stay indoors. They would hear fainting crying in the distance, then see a figure standing at the edge of the forest, watching patiently, and sometimes following. Those who tried to run were often lost anyway, their screams swallowed by the vast white wilderness. Gwisin do not always attack. Some are said to simply observe, reminding the living of unpaid debts, forgotten kindness, and respect denied to the dead. Others, more malicious in nature, strike without warning, causing sickness, madness, or even death before the first sunrise of the new year. Even today, villagers in Korea hang charms and perform quiet rituals during the coldest months. Offerings of food, small gifts, and whispered prayers are left at doors and shrines. It is a silent acknowledgement that the winter spirits still walk when the nights grow long and the wind bites deep. Gwisin are reminders that winter is more than cold. It is isolation. It is memory. It is the fragile boundary between life and death. A season when the past refuses to remain buried, and the spirits of the forgotten wander through the frozen nights. As the night deepens across Asia, the snow continues to fall, covering mountains, villages, and frozen rivers in silence. But this silence is deceptive. It is not peace. It is waiting. From the mountains of Japan to the plains of northern China and into the forests of Korea, winter moves like a predator. Its children follow closely behind. These are not merely stories. They are warnings and memories of survival, etched into the cultures of people who learn to respect the cold, honor the past, and fear what the darkness might bring. Tonight, as you watch the snow fall, remember the spirits that move unseen. Each one reminds us that winter is never truly empty. It carries life and death, beauty and fear, and the fragile line between them. If you enjoyed this journey through Asia's winter folklore, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. These stories do not end with the snow. Every year the cold returns, and so do the spirits. Next time, we will explore more hidden corners of folklore from around the world, uncovering creatures and legends that walk unseen among us. Until then, keep your hearths warm, your lanterns lit, and your eyes open. Winter is not done watching.